The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to Arizona for the penultimate round of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series. 100 laps of racing action is in store for us tonight, and we're going to have it all for you live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and our camera sets, as always, are provided by Dougie Beard. Just 4 drivers remain in the championship hunt, and next week at Homestead we will crown the champion. While that race will surely be important, the pressure is on all 4 of our championship contenders to have a solid points night tonight, Tanner, at the Phoenix International Raceway.
The pressure is on there, Sam, and this race is probably just as important as our championship race in Homestead. But tonight, we are in the crown jewel of the desert, Phoenix International Raceway, a 1 mile, technically it's a 1.022 mile racing course in the desert, with 10 to 11 degrees of banking in turns 1 and 2, especially in the dogleg area. Turns 3 and 4 is 8 to 9 degrees of banking, much flatter. With 100 laps, these guys will be turning around tonight with a 60% fuel load. It is a nighttime setting, so tires shouldn't be an issue at all. There should be lots of grip on this repaved Phoenix with a fixed setup tonight. Weather's just the same, 74 air, 74 track. So to get around the crown jewel in the desert, let's hop on board the Chevrolet Silverado here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Phoenix International Raceway in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. Phoenix is a fun little 1 mile oval, and I'll show you just why. So coming off here into turn 1, braking right after about that 2 cones up there on the wall. Find this yellow line down here, back into the gas, let it float all the way up to the wall, and then for series that run this open dogleg, you drive straight across that, bypass that whole thing, drive straight up to the fence, brake it about just after the 2 cones on the wall up there and again in the fence. Let it roll through 3 and 4 better than I did. Easy getting back onto the gas because the truck makes enough power to make it real squirrely off of turn 4. Even on lap 2 here. Don't get on the binders too hard because then the rear of the truck's you're going to get real loose getting in. Still, back onto the gas, let it float up here to the wall, keep arcing it left and just drive it pretty much straight across this, straight up, aim at those cones right there, and then back onto the brakes, let it float through the middle here, and then watch the braking, get back into it, it gets a little squirrely, so you really have to mind the gas and watch that wall because it gets up there in a heartbeat. But across the line, that's going to complete our track guide here around Phoenix. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
So that was the track early in the day. You can see the sun has set. It is cool in the desert now, and the lights are on here at Phoenix. We're getting ready for 100 laps of night racing. 100 laps that'll probably go by quickly if the field stays green, and that's very possible considering the fact there are only 15 trucks currently in the server. Let's talk about those 4 drivers who are fighting for the championship right now. There you see, after the opening round in the championship round for this chase, Jordan Eriksson took the win last week, so he has a 5-point advantage over Nick Cohan, and then Brian Yazek and Michael Kobach behind. Now, when you watch NASCAR in, let's call it quote-unquote real life, they all have their points reset before Homestead. Not so here. these drivers, Tanner, all 4 of these will be battling for the championship at Homestead, so a good points night tonight means they will definitely have the odds on their side heading into the season finale. And the fact that we have such a small field of 15 trucks, that's really good news for Jordan Ericsson there.
It's very good news for Jordan Ericsson indeed, but technically it's bad news for Michael Krobach. Just 9 points separate the top 4 drivers running for this championship out to Homestead Miami Speedway. And Michael Krobach, if he wants any shot at trying to win this championship, needs to pretty much at least lead the most laps and win the next 2 races and lead the most laps at least, just because of the size of the fields that this series has been having. So Michael Krobach is going to be the one to watch out for tonight. Another driver in the middle of that mix as well is going to be Brian Yazik. He's been extremely competitive all season long. See what he can do to make up those points. He's only 7 points back. Nick Cohan's only 5 points back, sitting in the PP2 spot on points. So I think these 4 drivers are really going to be battling it out really hard in these last 2 races, Sam.
But of course, 4 Trace drivers in a 15 truck field, that means we've got some drivers out there who are not Trace contenders, and right now one of them is at the top of the timing sheets. That is Gary Whitson. He has turned a 26.998, which is faster than any time any of the drivers ran in practice. Gary, we've seen him running up front all season long, kind of a bit of a surprise that he's not here fighting in the championship 4, but when you look at those names, Ericsson, Cohan, Yazik and Krobach, those are 4 drivers. Definitely no shame in losing to those 4, Tanner.
No shame in losing those 4, but they can definitely play a chase spoiler and could definitely play the outcome of this championship. As we mentioned at the top of the show, with 15 drivers here tonight at Phoenix, and a non-chaser so far is on top of the board, he could play the non-chase spoiler and pretty much maybe dictate the outcome of this championship. I really truly believe that this race here tonight at Phoenix is probably just as important as our championship race at Homestead.
And here is the most important lap of qualifying. Nick Cohan, the fastest driver in practice. This is his first time lap, entering turns 3 and 4 right now. Going through this 8 to 9 degrees of banking, and then he will run down the straight. He'll have a second lap if he wants it. Doesn't knock the wall down, crosses the line, and does not go to provisional pole, but he's got second lap here.
Got second lap there, and he's ahead of Jordan Ericsson by a position, which is really good. He's going to try is he? Nope, he's not going to try another lap. I think he is going to call it. So Nick Cohan, the jerky man, so far on top of the board, or second on the board so far. Jordan Ericsson, Mark McCrary, he's been fast the last couple weeks. Watch for him to possibly play a chase spoiler. And Bryce Whitson in the top 5. That's we got the Whitson cousins up there.
Yeah, the Whitson cousins sandwich in the top 5, and Scott Formosa, I'm being told, is on track, but he's actually just resting against the infield barrier. So it doesn't look like we've got any drivers getting ready to set a time in the final minute of qualifying here. So let's go ahead and give our True Power Pole Award to Gary Whitson. Definitely not the first time this season we have done that. He was faster by Nick Cohan by 0.03 of a second, as you see on your screen there. Jordan Ericsson and Mark McCrary on row 2, and then Bryce Whitson and Scott Formosa on row 3. Brian Yazik and Michael Krobach round out the front half of the field, Tanner.
Yeah, outside the top 10, you're going to have Robert Barber or Mark Mars outside the top 10, 11th position. Now, the drivers that choose not to take qualifying time, Jackie Palmer, Austin Missler, Tim Knott, and Jeffrey Bell, that's positions currently 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Those drivers, since the racing session has not completely started yet, that can get flip-flopped around due to their highest rating of iRating. But those drivers elected not to take a qualifying time. As I look at these top 15 drivers there, Sam, it is going to be a fight to the end, especially for those Championship 4. If I was one of those Championship 4 drivers, I would be nervous because it would tell me it is so hard to make up some kind of points on Jordan Ericsson.
Yeah, and all 4 of our Trace drivers qualified in the top 4 rows. Anyhow, the qualifying session has finished. The drivers have advanced to the race session. They are getting gridded up on pit road here for 100 laps of racing action with Gary Whitson, who will start on pole. Since the track is a little bit over a mile long in length, We expect, I should imagine, just one pace lap around here. And we haven't talked a lot about the track temperature there, Tanner, but obviously with it being night, 74 degrees, should create plenty of grip. Do you think that means we'll see some good racing out there?
I think we'll see some good racing out there, Sam, but you got to be careful. If you produce too much good racing and you're driving too hard, it's pretty easy to wear off these tires here at Phoenix here there, Sam. So, but if we do get a long green flag run, I am expecting drivers to take at least 4 tires and a full tank of fuel. But if we do get a caution in the early stages, it is expected for drivers to take 2 tires, especially on a night setting like this, just to try to get some form of track position.
Could definitely be a possibility, but I should imagine, Tanner, we usually see these races in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series. They have about 1 or 2 stops. Usually 2 stops happen on tracks where there's a higher top speed, so you're burning more fuel, and also the longer races. 100 laps around this 1 mile track here is not a whole lot, and without the high top speeds, I should imagine we could be looking at just a one-stop race.
Yeah, I mean, with the lap times that these guys, from what I've seen, that they're performing in about the low 27s, they're going just as fast as a cup car would during the daytime setting. So these trucks, they're bad fast tonight so far, and yeah, it's a possibility. Looking forward to possibly a 1 to 2 pit stops at least.
Well, you see the field is already going down the back straight following that Ford Mustang pace car around. Jeffrey Belt is currently not on the racetrack, and in fact he is not in the sim, so we're just going to have 14 drivers taking the green flag here tonight. Ford Mustang pace car, I believe, is about to make a hard left turn, and Gary Whitson has control of the field. Alongside him is Nick Cohan. They come out of turn 4. Gary Whitson's on the loud pedal. We are racing here at Phoenix International Raceway.
Nick Cohan, the jerky man, got caught sleeping on the start of this race here. He just lost a position to Jordan Erickson. That is not good for him because Erickson has a 5-point lead over Nick Cohan. So let's see how this is all going to play out. First side-by-side battles pretty much in the back there with Brian Yazik and the number 80 of Scott from Orsa. That is actually going to clear up as Gary Whitson's going to lead the first lap.
Yeah, Jordan Erickson in second. Not good news for Nick Cohan, not good news for Yazik or Krobach either, with that 5-point lead that you mentioned. And Erickson, currently Gary Whitson in front of him, is not a race driver. Erickson would just be building that lead, but once again, obviously, very early stages here. Lap 2, as it is Gary Whitson, Jordan Erickson, Nick Cohan, Mark McCrary, and Bryce Whitson in the top 5.
And outside the top 5, just Brian Yazik just got around his teammate there, Michael Krobach. So championship contenders switch swapping places early and early going into this race here.
Tell you what, we could be looking at a lead change. Jordan Erickson in the dog leg underneath Gary Whitson. He's going to have a look into turn 3 and 4, looking for another bonus point, using up all of that apron. That's not the way to win the championship.
Holy cow, got all the way down by the apron of the racetrack, and it is legal to go down there, folks. Unlike Daytona and Talladega, you can go beneath the yellow line here, and you can as much as use the dog leg, as you can see right the leaders are doing right now. Use that dog leg as much as you can. But I mean, with using an apron like that there, Sam, it does help the car rotate a heck of a lot better than it does on the racetrack. And with a night setting like this and a lot of grip on the track, I mean, the trucks like that.
Yeah, it does when you use it, right? But when you did what Jordan Erickson did there 2 laps ago and go in the apron, enter in turn 3, carrying all that speed, here he goes. Hopefully he'll learn from that and not slide up the track into Gary Whitson like he almost did 2 laps ago. No, he's going to use the apron again.
Yeah, but here's the advantage of Whitson, though, is he's trying to pinch Jordan Erickson down there to kill his momentum so he can have a nice run off, like you've seen there off of turn number 4. Whitson did beat Erickson to the line there. Let's see what Erickson can do. He's still working on him. Whoa, really close to the left rear quarter panel of Gary Whitson. Once again getting close as I go through the dangerous dog leg.
Nick Cohan realises he's got to capitalise here. He is in 3rd position. Jordan Erickson still not able to get by Gary Whitson. He's not going to be able to do it here. Cohan wants to get that run. He wants to be the top trace driver.
definitely does want to be the top chase driver, and he's going to have to get around Ericsson and Whitson to be able to do it. Looks like the race leaders have fanned out just a little bit, but I see Brian Yazik going underneath Bryce Whitson back there.
Yeah, Yazik, a driver who, like Krobot, could probably needs a win here tonight. Oh, contact between Tim Knott and Robert Barber. Barber saves it, does he? Yes, but clips Mark as he spins.
This will bring out a caution.
That could have been a lot uglier. Those two trucks probably got din-din fenders, but they're still able to compete.
As Brian Yazik and David Hoots would say, put it out. Now, they all had it saved until Robert Barber made contact with the right rear quarter panel of the 04 machine of Mark Myers, and that's what really brought out the caution.
Yeah, but it's what we've been seeing here, Tanner. A lot of drivers just diving into turn 3 a little bit too hard. They slide up on the exit 4, get into the truck on the outside of them. We've seen that going on pretty much every other lap between Jordan Ericsson and Gary Whitson up front.
And that is exactly what we were seeing. It looks like the guy in the car on the bottom there, it was on the apron of the racetrack. Those left side tires were on the apron, and he got back into the gas, and he felt like it was a tight effect on his truck, washed up the racetrack and made contact with 33.
The field pits, but Michael Krobach stays out. Krobach's aware he needs to get the win. He's not going to get it from the middle of the field, so going to play the strategy card here early as the field comes in on lap 10. Gary Whitson leads Jordan Ericsson, who will lead them out. I have a feeling there will be some two-tire stops here.
Possibly. I mean, the track is really grippy tonight, so these guys can probably take a gamble for a two-tire pit stop for track position. Let's see here. I'm looking around. Right sides are going up. Let's see if the left sides go up on anybody else. No, the 00 of Bryce Whitson will take 2 tires. It looks like everybody else is going to take 4 tires.
Never surprising to see Bryce Whitson take 2 tires. He seems to do that at one point pretty much every single race we cover during this season. But that does not give Bryce the #1 position for the restart because of Krobach staying out.
We'll have to see if Michael Krobach will choose to pit here. Krobach does get a bonus point for leading a lap, so at least he's getting a bonus point out of the way, and Krobach is not going to pit whatsoever. He's going to play track position, so that's approximately about 8 green flag laps on Krobach's tires, and the 00 there is on 2 tires. That's Bryce Whitson. Everybody else behind them is on 4 tires.
One of the big losers in that round of stops you see right there is Nick Cohan. He drops back to 6th position. Now, yes, he did take 4 tyres, but he should have came off pit road second because he entered pit road in second, and then he would be restarting 4th. So, Nick Cohan is not going to be too pleased about his pit stop there. We'll have to wait and see what he can do with the field. The lights are off on the pace car. Expect Michael Krobach to get a good restart here. Bryce Whitson, we'll see how well he holds up on those 2 tyres, not having clean air in his favour. Will Jordan Ericsson be able to quickly dispose of Michael Krobach? We'll have to find out how well those old tyres hold up.
We'll have to see how all those tires will hold up. Pace car is going to make a hard left down in the pit road. Here goes Michael Krobach on the loud pedal. That caught Bryce Whitson sleeping there. Backs up the outside line as they head down into turn number 1.
And I'm sorry, I said Jordan Ericsson was down the inside there, but you see Gary Whitson is the... Jordan Ericsson's dropped back to 5th. Gary Whitson, first drive on 4 tyres to my knowledge.
Yes, sir, he is, and that's because Bryce Whitson, he did not go on that restart there, as we got a battle for the race lead. No tires versus 4 fresh tires, and I would assume... Oh, we got a wreck! Nick Cohan involved! Oh, huge accident off turn number 4!
Half a field, really. Granted, it's a small field. Jackie Pelmore, Robert Barber, 1 truck is smoking. That's Tim Knott.
Not. Jordan Ericsson is involved. Seen a bunch of, quite a few chase contending drivers. Pursuit of the pedals. Let's see what happened here.
Well, that's really going to mix things up in the chase there because Nick Cohan and Jordan Erickson were the top two who entered, and they've both got a little bit of a piece of this incident, whereas the two drivers who need to make up points, Krobach and Jazik, were in front of that.
And I tell you what to know what I think has happened right there? You seen on the replay, the 88 was boxed in. He had a truck right in front of him, and if he would have hit the gas, he would have ran over the guy in front of him. And then it looked like Nick Cohan caught the left rear quarter panel of the 88, and that's what started it all. So that is two chase contending drivers, and that could play big into championship conditions here, there, Sam. Here we go on board with Tim Knott back here.
Yeah, Tim took a hard knock there. Oh, lots of hard knocks.
And that front stretch when it gets all stacked up like that, Sam, there's nowhere to go because there's an inside pit wall and an outside wall too. So when the traffic gets backed up, you have no choice but to stop.
Yeah, and I apologise for saying that Nick Cohan had a slow pit stop. He wasn't running as high as what I was crediting him before that first round of stops. I misread my notes there. And of course, the fact that Cohan restarted in the middle of a field led to the fact that he was caught up in that rather large incident. The top 6 drivers did not pit under this caution. Everyone else has, a lot of those for repairs.
I tell you what, Sam, this is huge championship implications because this is not looking good for Ericsson, especially Nick Cohan, because Nick Cohan prior to this race was 5 points out of the race lead of Jordan Erickson, and I think he's going to lose some more points as of right now. We'll just have to wait and see how this night goes on for Nick Cohan. Hopefully the damage isn't too bad, but man, that was a huge wreck-off turn for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be alright. It's a small field. 14 trucks just took a start. It looks like we only had 6 trucks not involved in the incident. Now we're down to 13 trucks, actually, because Tim Knott has retired from the race. I'll tell you what I do love about these short tracks. So, short cautions here on the iRacing service. Lights are already off on the pace car, and we're about to finish up our second caution of the night as they come around to complete lap 15.
Pace car is going to make a hard left down pit road. Here we go once again for another restart. Krobach on the loud pedal. This time it's much better of a restart than the last restart. Jazik all over the back bumper of Mark McCrary. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, maybe take it 3 wide, but he decided not to. Battle for the race lead.
Yeah, Gary trying to accomplish what he was trying to do before that caution came out, and that is use those 4 fresh Goodyears to take the lead. Michael Krobach, though, obviously already a winner here on these old tyres, because had he taken 4 tyres like the rest of the field on that first caution before the last caution, he probably would have been caught up in that wreck.
He probably could have been caught up in that Lex, so it was a nice strategy call on Michael Krobach for track position. Right now he's running a solid position number 2. Right now it looks like he's under fire from Mark McCrary. Not just yet, but Mark McCrary is inching ever closer, and he's bringing a pack of wolves with him. That is Brian Jazik and Bryce Whitson and Austin Misley.
Well, Mark McCrary, as we mentioned, is a new driver to this series, so that's why he's not competing in this chase. We would say, well, he would be competing in the Pursuit of the Pedals next season, but I don't believe these drivers are having the Pursuit of the Pedals, although I could be corrected on that. Meanwhile, there's some battles going on in the middle of the field for 7th position. Scott Formosa and Mark Myers, and for 9th, Jordan Erickson is trying to rally his way back up through the field, which is not good news for the other chase competitors.
Yeah, these are the drivers that were involved at least in 2 incidents. Formosa looked like he got loose entering one there, and Mark Myers washed up the hill. This is going to give Erickson another position that is crucial for him to try to maintain his points lead.
I'll tell you what, Tan, Nick Cohan, I believe he is still on the lead lap. I will double check that right now. He is still on the lead lap, but he's a second off the pace at least.
The way I'm hearing it, Sam, by the tone of his engine, he's got engine troubles, it looks like. It's not up to full horsepower speed. He's only going 135 miles an hour down that front straightaway. I wonder what Gary Whitson's going here, because that would tell a huge difference. Oh yeah, he's going well over 135 miles an hour, so that would tell me that Nick Cohan has some sort of horsepower damage.
So, could we rule Kohan out of this chase for the championship? Well, of course, there's also always a possibility that in the finale at Homestead next week, we could end up having 30, 40 drivers show up, and then there will be a lot of points on the line. But as you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Hannah, the last few races have only seen about 20 trucks, which means every point out here counts. Right now, Kohan definitely not going to get some back there. Meanwhile, Brian Yazik, another one of our chase drivers in the battle for fourth with Bryce Whitson, I think he just took it and is pulling away.
Yeah, you are right there, Seam. I think he made the pass around the outside lane. It was a good move on Yazik's part. I wasn't watching the battle beforehand between these two drivers. They were battling beforehand before that caution even came out, too. So Yazik is up in the fourth position so far, having a solid race. He was ahead of that last caution, or just ahead of it, I may add. So great run for Yazik, and Mark McCrary looks like he wants to look underneath Michael Krobach. This would be a battle for the second position if he can get there. So far, Krobach's tires are really holding up for him, and that is good news for Krobach. But the problem is with Krobach, he is not leading to gain those extra bonus points for leading the most laps. I did say at the top of the show that in order for him to really catch up to the points leader, he's going to have to lead the most laps and win the race, because that is going to be full NASCAR points.
Yeah, but the good thing for Krobach is that he did lead some laps, so he will get a bonus point for that, something that Brian Yazik can't say sitting back there in fourth position. But right now, Gary Whitson pulling away from them. Let's give a shout out to Bryce Whitson too. He's still out there on two tyres. The problem for Bryce is he's already dropped back to fifth, and he could lose that spot to Austin Missler very soon. And this was around where he had been running before he made that two tyre call.
Speaking of Austin Missler, I think so far he is the biggest mover of this race out of the 14-car field that had started this race. So nice job for Austin Missler, coming from 12th position, already up to 6th.
Gary Whitson, our race leader, just knocked the wall down exiting turn 4. If that doesn't tell you he's pushing, and that led Michael Krobach to take a good chunk out of his lead.
It definitely did there, Sam. I wonder if he has severe damage on that truck. We'll have to take a look.
Yeah, he did get the wall pretty good ago. I mean, it was only about 30 seconds ago, of course, because it was coming out of turn 4 here last time around.
Well, I'm seeing some damage on that right front. Here comes Krobach to the back bumper on entry of the corner. Had to slow down. He doesn't want to run over the guy ahead of him, but look what that brought. That brought McCrary up to him, and looks like Krobach's going to use the dog leg to his advantage just a little bit.
Mark McCrary is the first driver in this line who has a truck with 4 fresh Goodyears and no dins and dents on it. Unless, of course, we've missed anything early in the race. But all of a sudden, Gary has picked up his bearings and pulled away from Krobach. Here's about for third.
Yep, there goes Yazik underneath the number 31 machine of Mark McCrary. I think he'll get it down turn 3. This has been Yazik's strong point, from my understanding, throughout the night here. Is turn 3 and 4. Looks like McCrary might get the run on the exit. Actually, they're pretty even on exit. Oh, McCrary in the wall.
Yeah, and as that's all going on, they're all putting Kohan a lap down here.
Yeah, Nick Kohan down on horsepower after that accident on the track. He's just trying to ride out there, trying to do everything he can to not lose any more positions than what he needs to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Kohan, they're causing a bit of a hazard for some of the leaders there. If it stays like this, Kohan is going to be out of this pursuit, really, if we have a small field at Homestead. But the other 3, it's going to be really close, because Jordan Erickson is still back there in 8th. Now, that doesn't mean he can't get back up there in the next 70 laps, but I've got to imagine that that damage is affecting him a little bit.
It really is there, Sam, and it's a tough pill to swallow for sure. But right now, you're just out there trying to do everything you can to not lose any more positions than what you need to be. You don't right now, like in Nick Kohan's case, your first car 1 lap down. If the caution does come out, he would get the DSD lucky dog, and I'm sure Jordan Erickson, in his case, he can repair some damage up a little bit so he can become a little quicker. But I think the damage on Jordan Erickson is plaguing him just a little bit.
Yeah, well, what Cohan really needs for A, to have some trucks drop out, and B, to give him a chance to catch up, is a big wreck. The problem is, all of our leaders are running single file right now, no battles on the track. They're just logging laps, trying to keep it clean after a rough start to this race.
Tell you what, I think the two drivers that really liking the incidents with Jordan Erickson and Nick Cohan is Krobach and Yazik. Right now, they're sitting they are teammates, by the way. They are sitting solidly in the second and third position. I mean, they want to be up there, but I'm sure one of these two drivers prefer to be leading right now.
And you've got to imagine that Yazik is the one with the best chance of doing it, considering that Krobach is on those old tyres and Yazik has been working his way through the field on those newer tyres. Let's see how much of a fight Krobach puts up when Yazik does get to him.
And if they do start fighting for position there, Sam, that would allow Gary Whitson to pull away, and that would allow Mark McCrary to catch him. So you don't want to battle too much.
Yeah, McCrary still holding on at the back there in fourth place, doing a nice job.
McCrary's been fast the last couple of weeks. We've been broadcasting these races there, Sam. I mean, he's been running up there in the top 5. He's led laps.
Oh, here's something that could shake things up though. Jordan Erickson also thinking about moving up another position. He's caught Scott Formosa for 7th.
Maybe the damage isn't plaguing him too much. Right now, Scott Formosa looks like he's going to pull. Yeah, he's going to let Erickson go by. So that's going to allow Jordan Erickson to take the 7th position. That is another position for Erickson, and that is not good for Yazik and Krobach's case.
The other thing not good for Yazik here is McCrary getting really close to his rear bumper through turns 3 and 4, and also he's blinking in and out a little bit there. That's definitely never a good sign.
Yazik is? Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Now,
this isn't unusual, yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, we have seen Yazik blink before. I think it was Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, where he was running up towards the front and he got called to the rear of the field order. He stayed in his pit box until his connection cleared up, which put him in the back of the pack. But so far, it looks like it's clearing up on Yazik's end right now.
Give you an update on the big one. You've probably noticed on the timing and scoring, Robert Barber and Jackie Palmore are still in the pits after that big incident, so they're two of the drivers who definitely did not come off well from that large wreck early on in the race. Tim Knott retired from the race, and then of course Nick Cohan was the 4th casualty of that, running a lap down now in 11th. Mark Myers and Jeffrey Gilliam also have damage from the wreck. They're still running 9th and 10th on the lead lap, but have dropped back of the main pack. I'll tell you what, those top 8 out there, Tanner, that don't have too much damage, they are still running quite close together. In fact, our 8th place truck, Scott Formosa, is less than 4 seconds behind our leader.
Yes, sir, less than 4 seconds, and these guys are running some pretty good pace speeds at the moment. These guys have either very minimum damage or no damage at all, so running a great speed right now, the top 8 drivers. Oh, Formosa got into the wall off turn number 2 there.
Yeah, and he's already back to 8th there behind Ericsson, of course, now. We saw that pass on screen. Ericsson not really running down Austin Missler for 6th. Speaking about Austin Missler in 6th, he had been challenging Bryce Whitson for 5th. He's dropped back a bit of him now.
Yeah, Ericsson's running 28 flats. Austin Missler actually ran a slower lap time last time by, so it was about 2 tenths quicker.
Tell you what, Bryce Whitson, not by much as Scott Formosa comes in. Now, this could be him short pitting to try and make it to the end.
We'll just have to see who's going to blink first within at least the top 5 there, Sam. I think the top 5, somebody up in that top 5 is going to blink, and if anybody's going to blink first, it's got to be Krobach or Yazik, because right now they're about 1.2 seconds back, approximately, and if they pit early, if they just kind of blank Gary Whitson just a little bit, they pit early, they can gain somewhat at an advantage, just a little bit.
Yeah, but I've also got to think that they can't play too much of a risky strategy, because right now they're actually in a good position relative to Jordan Ericsson, and the last thing they'd want to do is get trapped a lap down if a caution flew. We'll wait and see though, we are approaching the halfway point here.
Well, I'd say Nick Cohan will be the one to doing some drastic, crazy pit strategies, but unfortunately he's not into the mix right now. He's only a lap down in the 11th position with horsepower damage. But yeah, I mean, right now, Krobach looks like they gained a little bit on Gary Whitson, so I think they're just kind of waiting to see what happens if they can catch Gary Whitson.
Jeffrey Gilliam in for scheduled stop.
Jeffrey Gilliam, yeah, he's one of the drivers that was a little bit slower than the top 8 trucks.
All of these drivers most likely going to be taking 4 tires on pit road.
And I think the driver that's probably going to want to take some sort of 4 tires is going to be the number 7, Michael Krobach. Impressively enough, this whole entire run he's been out there, he hasn't changed a set of tires yet in this race. Still running second, about 1.2 seconds back from our race leader. So solid night there.
Now, Jeffrey Gilliam has just rejoined the track. Now, he had been running a little bit behind Scott Formosa. They're on different ends of the racetrack right now.
Let's see where Gilliam is. Gilliam is down in 1 and 2, just ahead of Gary Whitson. Formosa, yeah, he's all the way by the start-finish line. That's pretty much half the racetrack there. Interesting.
16 seconds between them, which is over half a lap around this short 1 mile oval in Arizona.
We're getting stacked up back here from Brian Yazagan back there as they go around Nick Cohan just a little bit.
Yeah, Nick Cohan going 2 laps down. I was almost going to joke that this could be some elaborate strategy, Tanner, that Nick Cohan is just running really slow to try and make it on fuel to the end. But the problem is 2 laps down now, the rest of the field could probably pit and come out ahead of him.
Yeah, you know, I did say that I've seen Nick Cohan do some crazy strategies before, and he's pulled them off too. So, but although I don't think it's anything like that, I think he has too much damage to really finish on the lead lap.
So, Gary Whitson continues to lead Michael Krobach. We approach the halfway point here. They're ahead of Brian Yazik, Mark McCrary, Bryce Whitson, Austin Missler, Jordan Ericsson. The top 7 trucks continue to be covered by about 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Right now it's been about 50 laps. And actually it's been 50 laps out there that Krobach has been on fuel, so just gonna see. I think Krobach is gonna be the one that's gonna blink first, just because he's been out there the longest than anybody out there. If that is the case, though, that would call me, if I was Gary Whitson, that would call me down pit road, because I don't want Michael Krobach to gain any more time on me at all.
Well, when we saw Formosa and Gilliam short pit, they did that around lap 40, which would indicate that these drivers believe they could get about 60 laps on fuel. Well, all of these drivers, when the pit says we see a change for second, Yazik underneath Krobach, Krobach going to yield it from him. Now, can Yazik...
He's going to pit.
Yep.
Here he goes.
Well, lots of trucks coming with him.
Oh, don't get pop speeding.
And why not? It's the halfway point of the race. These drivers thinking, okay, this is the way they best use their tyres to make it to the end.
And you know something, I bet Michael Krobach could probably make it to the end. I bet he can, and I tell you what, Michael Krobach's becoming the Pod Piper on pit road. Austin Missler's down there as well. Here we go, Krobach into his pit box. I'm guessing 4 tires is going to go on that machine. He hasn't taken tires all night long. I think he'll get back on out there. Gary Whitson will stay out. Oh, spinning the tires big time goes Krobach, and Bryce Whitson beats out Michael Krobach. That could be the difference maker.
Yeah, have to see if Krobach can get back that position. Mark McCrary into the pit.
Oh when does Gary and Brian Yazik enter pit road?
Well, I think they can wait another 10, maybe 20 laps. The problem is, how much time will they lose by doing that? Probably not a whole lot, although Brian Yazik comes in this time by.
Alright, so Yazik's coming down pit road, and it's been about 45 laps since his last pit stop. Jordan Erickson's going to stay out.
As is Gary Whitson, and why not? Gary's just here for the race win, having been knocked out of a pursuit. And now he's going to pit.
Erickson's going to stay out. That's going to have Erickson collect himself a bonus point. That's big right there, Sam, too.
Absolutely it is. How much time is it going to cost him in the long run, though? He announces that he will be pitting this time by.
Well, I think he wanted to get that bonus point at Jordan Erickson, and that's probably what he had to do. But I'm just curious on how much time Bryce Whitson, Krobach, and them boys that pitted, I just wonder how much time they're going to make up. Here they go. Yeah, Bryce Whitson, Krobach, they're at the line. Erickson is at the line now on pit road.
Yeah, well, Bryce and Krobach are ahead of all the other drivers who have pit so far. Mark Myers is still out in front of him. He's yet to come down pit road. In fact, he'll get to lead the lap.
Now, just trying to see how all this is cycling around here.
Mark Myers didn't lead that time by. Yeah, it looks like Bryce Whitson's going to be leading the race ahead of Michael Krobach, because Jordan Erickson's exiting the pits now, and see how much those tyres have cost him. He's out behind this whole pack.
Yes, sir. So, and what a good move by Michael Krobach's part and Bryce Whitson, because they pitted together. Krobach was the Pod Piper entering pit road. Now, Bryce Whitson at the line now. He will become the race leader unless, Mark Myers stays out on the racetrack yet.
Yeah, I think Mark Myers is enjoying having that number 04 truck out front. He hasn't brought home a single top 5 finish this season. Now he's finally going to pit.
Mark McCrary going, he looked underneath Gary Whitson there. That would be for position. He looked underneath him down in turn number 3.
With Mark Myers pitting, this will be for, let's see, Mark McCrary behind Gary Whitson. This will be for 4th place once they go back around. No, I'm sorry, it is for 5th place. They've already gone by Mark Myers by this point.
Gary Whitson, he's catching up to Austin Missler there little by little. He gets a nice run into turn number 3. So far, he is keeping tabs with that number 11 machine, but I would assume, and once they start battling, Mark McCrary is going to want to join the mix.
Alright, so let's give you a top 10 rundown here now that all of these drivers are pit. Bryce Whitson is leading this race ahead of Michael Krobach, our highest chase driver, Brian Yazik in 3rd. Those are the 2 drivers who have the most amount of points to catch up. Austin Missler, solid run right now in 4th. Gary Whitson, he didn't fare too well in that pit stop cycle, back in 5th ahead of Mark McCrary. He also lost a couple of spots. He's now down into 6th position. Scott Formosa back there in 7th. He gained a bit of momentum by being the first driver of the pit. Jordan Erickson still all the way back in 8th. That's good news for Yazik and Krobach. And then in 9th place is Jeffrey Gilliam, and he's beat up truck. And then 10th place is now a lap down, and that is Mark Myers, the last driver of the pit.
You said it, Sam. That is good news for those guys, Yazik and Krobot, because prior to those pit stops, Jordan Erickson was in the 7th position, but maybe not anymore because Erickson's going underneath Formosa. I was just about to say Erickson actually lost a position under those rounds of pit stops, but he's going to get that position back underneath Formosa.
Yeah, not sure what happened to Austin Missler last time by, but he dropped back from 4th to 6th place behind Gary Whitson and Mark McCrary.
Possibly maybe hit the wall, maybe.
Speaking of Gary Whitson and Mark McCrary, they're having a bit of a battle going on right now.
Yeah, I just looked back. Austin Missler didn't hit the wall. He just washed up the hill, and that allowed McCrary to get underneath Austin Missler as well. And as you said, this is pretty much the closest battle on racetrack. Mark McCrary and Gary Whitson, as I'm looking through the field here. I think the race lead might be brewing up too as well there, Sam, because Krobot is catching Bryce Whitson.
Well, Krobot is thinking about all these points he can gain in that championship battle if he takes the lead and the win here. Whereas Bryce Whitson is thinking he's only had 1 win so far this season. He's had a bit of a rough year. He's just out there fighting to get another win, and right now he's in the prime position to do it.
Little by little.
Both of them have a bit of a lead over Brian Yazik.
And a little checkup ahead of the race leaders. Gilliam had a checkup for Coham. He caught Nick Cohan at the wrong time. Boxed in. Here comes Krobot underneath.
Yeah, Jeffrey Gilliam couldn't get out of the way of Bryce Whitson there. Krobot going to try and capitalise, but I think Bryce was able to hold on to it, at least for now.
I think Krobot really took it easy there. He didn't know what to expect, but that slowed down the top 2 drivers. But another driver did not slow down was Brian Yazik.
Yeah, the lap times for them all last time by 28.3 for Bryce Whitson, 28.4 for Michael Krobot, Yazik at 28.1, so he did gain a tenth or two over those top 2 there. The problem is he's over a second back. The good news is there's still over 30 laps to go.
A little over 30 laps to go, and I think these guys have it all played out that they're not going to pit anymore because Krobot already proved that, he proved with 51 laps on that fuel load at least, so he could probably make it pretty much to the end. We know the 00 can make it to the end then if that is the case. We know Yazik can make it to the end. Krobot looking towards the outside on the exit of the corner. He's going to get the run. Let's see if he looks towards the inside. He will. Left rear quarter panel dives it down into turn number 1. And Bryce is not going to give it up easy.
No, he's not. He's racing here for the win. Krobot did everything right, though, to try and pull off that position. It was a very well set up move. He just wasn't quite able to pull it off.
I like the run he got down in the middle and 3 and 4 down there, Sam, and that really sucked him up to his back bumper and allowed him to try to make the pass. But looked like he got a little too tight down there in 1 and 2 that allowed Krobot to wash up the racetrack just a little bit to lose his momentum.
Now the problem here for Krobot, well, 2 problems here for Krobot. One, that side-by-side battle has allowed Yazik to catch them both down. The second is that there's only 30 laps left to go, and that's going to go by in 15 minutes here.
Tell you what, Sam, we might be setting up a Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards finish here at Phoenix. I don't know if you've seen that finish earlier this year at Phoenix, but it was a whale of a finish, and we might be setting up for one. Not 1 truck, not 2 trucks, but 3 trucks involved.
Scott Formosa coming into the pits. Now remember, he was a driver who short pit on lap 40. Now he's pitting on lap 70, so I guess that's him saying no. You can only 2-stop this race, which is a bit confusing because we saw some drivers go into about lap 55. No, I don't know, maybe this is a 2-stop race. I wouldn't have called it.
Well, gotta remember though, we did have 2 cautions during that cycle, and under those 2 cautions, Krobot did not pit. So that does allow Krobot to save some sort of fuel a little bit under those cautions by staying out. And he did, and it was about, what, 50 laps into the race or whatever it was when he made his first pit stop. So I think the cautions really played into Krobach's favor as far as saving fuel goes.
Yeah, and then the other thing, I did make a note that Mark Myers and Jordan Erickson almost went to lap 60, but then let's not forget that they were both in damaged trucks. If those aren't going at full on, they are going to be conserving a bit more fuel than the other trucks. Which, imagine if that means Jordan Erickson can make it to the end on one stop and win this race. That would be a blow for all the other drivers. Meanwhile, though, Michael Krobach and Brian Jarzyk are the ones looking for the win here. They're both right on the back of Bryce Whitson.
Man, I hate to be the crew chief. I really do. I mean, and sometimes the drivers, when they're driving, they are the crew chief themselves. So when they're driving on a straightaway, they always look and see how much fuel and approximate fuel that they have left in the tank, and they kind of do the math in their head from there. This is going to get dicey, these top three drivers here, Sam. I can't take my eyes off.
Yeah, and just 25 laps left to go now.
Someone's going to try something. I mean, Krobach's going to have to do so. Oh, he got close to the back bumper, but nowhere to go.
When there's more than one way to get from point A to point B, sometimes you've got to assume those lanes intersect. That's almost what happened to Krobach there. He was a bit faster through the middle of the turn than what Bryce was. They both got through the turn at the same amount of speed, but there was almost a bit of contact in between them. Once again, Krobach gets close to the back of Bryce here. Is he going to be able to get that round off again?
Got a little bit of a run off turn 3 there, but I think where Krobach really gets to that back bumper is on the entrance of turn number 3. Here we go. Krobach actually may have messed up turn 1 and 2 because this is going to allow Brian Jarzyk underneath Krobach side by side for second place. Bryce Whitson is really liking this. And
Brian Jarzyk is really liking that part of the pass. He might not like this part on the exit.
Knock, knock.
And Cohan into the pits, but of course he's been down on power.
This might be good news, though, too, to let Brian Jarzyk go by and try to catch Bryce Whitson. Because if that's the case and they start battling side by side, that is going to allow Michael Krobach to catch up. But just that second place battle between Jarzyk and Krobach, that is bringing up Gary Whitson and Mark McQuarrie up even closer. So instead of a 3-car battle, this might turn into a 5-car battle.
Yeah, go to your local Jimmy John's and order an HPP set in the HPP fill-in in the Whitson sandwich. Here's what we've got running up at the top 4 right now with just a little over 20 laps left to go. The Whitsons running for the race win. The HPP guys, Jarzyk and Krobach. Granted, the Whitsons are sponsored by HPP as well. They just have a bit of a different colour scheme there. They are also, of course, racing for the race wins, but have championship in mind as well.
Damn, I'm starting to notice this. Jarzyk's pulled away from Krobach, and looks like Krobach's fallen off a little bit because Gary Whitson has really caught up to Michael Krobach. But meanwhile, while that is going on, Brian Jarzyk is catching the race leader, Bryce Whitson.
So a battle for P1 and P2, and the battle for P3 and 4 is shaping up.
Mention that Jimmy John's sandwich there. I love Jimmy John's, but I'm just glad I got a teammate in there in that sandwich because it wouldn't be a favorable sandwich.
We need some of these cars to be sponsored by cheese companies, Sargento out there.
Yeah, we got some cheese up here in Wisconsin.
Alright, Brian Jarzyk got through turns 1 and 2 really well that time, but he got a bit closer to Bryce Whitson.
Now it's just a matter, okay, you're there now it's just a matter of where you're going to go. Zahn has a quote for all this, but I haven't memorized it yet. Brian Jarzyk's got all that memorized for me, pretty much. But
Jarzyk looked underneath, and Bryce washes up the track.
That ain't good. Didn't play too much of a difference there, but you don't want to be washing up the track. battle for
Meanwhile,
3.
yeah, Crowbog washed up the track a bit, entering turn 3 there.
See what happens down in the turn 1 and 2 here. Bryce Whitson is going to take a much better line.
Ooh.
Yes, he will. Oh,
I'm sorry, Jeffrey Gilliam just announced that he was going to enter the pit, but when he did that, he was on the high side of Scott Formosa. They almost collided in turn 4. But yeah, here's that battle for 3rd.
Gary Whitson finally gets underneath Michael Krobach. And let's see if Krobach's going to fight back on the high side. Yes, he will. Nice run on the exit of the corner.
Jeffrey Gilliam made 41 laps on that round. If Jordan Erickson can make 41 laps, he would be 3 laps short of a finish.
Let's see, when was the leaders last time on pit road? It was about, okay, for Bryce Whitson, it was 34 laps. Brian Yazik, 31. Krobach, 34. Gary Whitson, 30. So, and we have seen drivers go longer than this, Sam, with 15 laps to go. I think they can make it. Who knows? I've been wrong before.
Really?
Yeah, I've been wrong plenty of times. Here we go, battle for the race lead. Yazik underneath Gary Whitson. Let's see if Gary Whitson will pinch him down just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. But Yazik trying to do everything he can to keep that momentum up. Not going to happen. That middle groove of the racetrack on exit prevails for Bryce.
Well, these drivers had to conserve fuel. Well, that's definitely obviously not taking place right now in this scrap up for the lead. Bryce ahead of Yazik, ahead of Gary, ahead of Krobach. Last time across the line, they were all within 7/10 of another.
Another thing that kind of gives me the theory that these guys can make it to the end is these guys are racing so hard and they're not acting like they're going to be in fuel conservation mode.
And of course, if one of them's leading with about 6 laps left to go and the caution flies, then they can just push the clutch in and coast to the finish line under the yellow.
Look at Brian Yazik. That right there is the Jimmy John sandwich. And I think he made a mistake there. Maybe not.
Gary Whitson gets underneath him. Doesn't make a move though.
Middle groove paid off there for Yazik.
Boy, the Whitson cousins.
Oh, Bryce up the hill. This is going to be a challenge for the race lead. Yazik through the dog leg. Actually, they're all going through the dog leg. And it looks like Yazik is going to clear Bryce. He will. Oh no, and here comes Gary diving, and they're 3 wide pretty much. Pretty close. Oh boy, ever so close, ever so fast.
Yazik washed up the track on the entry of 3. They almost went 3 wide. Gary did not get a good exit off of turn 4, and that means Bryce is going to challenge him for the position. But the cousins, who were thinking about a 1-2 finish, are not helping each other here. Running side by side for second is allowing Brian Yazik to run away, possibly to win this race.
Almost contact! There was contact between the cousins. Oh man, this is heating up.
And Michael Krobach has got to be careful here because he has a really good position considering Ericsson's back in 7th. The last thing he wants to do is get wadded up in any kind of Whitson incident.
Just don't want to be part of that sandwich that we were talking about. Oh man, Bryce got loose. And I think Krobach did too. That was
Krobach not on the desired lane here. Can he get the round off the ball?
Man,
nicely done. Nicely done. He knew he had to clear him on the high side there, and he did it.
Bryce is doing everything he can not to lose these positions, and there's a lot of battle going on here, and this is going to bring Mark McCrary up with these guys to battle along with them.
Yeah, well, the reason Bryce Whitson was leading was because he was one of the first drivers to pit under that round of stops around lap 40 and 50. The downside to that is that means he has the oldest tyres now and he's dropped back, but he's looking for 3rd again on Krobach.
Yeah, Krobach can't afford to lose any more positions here. Here they go.
Yeah, the problem for Krobach here is they're about to go 3 wide.
Oh man, going through that dog leg, man. It's like these guys are getting loose, but they're regaining control of their trucks. They're doing an absolute fantastic job at it. But that dog leg, man, that can be treacherous at times.
And now they're coming up to the slow truck of Nick Cohan again. This could mix things up.
I think Yazik just got on the radio saying thank you for letting me by.
Yeah, well, Yarzik is about to have a really good points day.
Oh,
Krobok
man.
is about to have a really bad points day.
Crowbox, he's in a mess.
You've got to say, with only a few laps left, it looks like our champion will either be Brian Yarzik or Jordan Erickson. They're going to be very close on points entering Homestead.
I was just about to say, Cohen probably got away there, but he did not. Actually, Bryce Whitson bought him at the fine time.
Gotta go and give an M-Spec Hard Charge of a Race Award here. Let's give it to Michael Krobok, actually, considering the fact he started 8th. He's moved up to 4th. He'd love a 3rd place finish, though.
He would, and that would mean a lot to him towards this championship, especially heading into the final race at Homestead Miami Speedway. But right now, it's not looking good because he is really under fire from Mark McCrary. And right behind Mark McCrary is another driver for position. That is Austin Missler.
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and take her away from him then and give it to Brian Yarzik. I didn't realise Yarzik actually started all the way back in 7th. And I think I recall Yarzik saying on more than one occasion that he wasn't a huge fan of Phoenix. He might like it a little bit more right now.
I think he's liking it right now because he's got such a comfortable lead, but he's had a solid race all night long, and he's coming to 3 laps to go for Brian Yarzik, not being pressured by Gary Whitson whatsoever. But I tell you what, Michael Krobok, Yarzik's teammate, has been under fire, trying to protect his position.
Yarzik was 7 points back of Jordan Erickson entering tonight's race. I think they've both led laps today, but neither of them have led the most laps, and Yarzik's about to finish 6 points ahead of Jordan here. So I think it really is going to be a matter of who finishes in front at Homestead, Yarzik or Erickson, that is going to take this championship. Definitely be sure to tune in next Wednesday and find out. Granted, Yarzik hasn't won this race yet, but there's less than 2 laps left to go, and there are no challengers around.
No green-white checkers either, so this is it, coming towards to take the white flag for Brian Yarzik.
Good battle for 4th, still shaping up between Krobok, McCrary and Missler. We'll keep an eye on that on the final lap here. Yarzik takes the white flag.
Down to turn number 1, just a little bit behind. Gary has been catching Yarzik, but it is not going to be enough. Through the dog leg, not being pressured, as Brian Yarzik looks like he will take the victory unless he blinks out and disappears, and the win goes to Gary Whitson. Don't want to put the commentator's curse coming to the line. Brian Yarzik will take the checkered flag at Phoenix International Raceway.
Gary Whitson gets 2nd, Bryce Whitson gets 3rd, Krobok holds on to 4th ahead of McCrary and Austin Missler, and Jordan Erickson crosses the line in 7th. Not much changes in the order at the finish there. Now, of course, Krobok and Cohan are still going to mathematically be alive for the championship. If we have a small field like this at Homestead, though, Cohan's chances are looking very slim indeed, and Krobok, I think, is going to have to depend on the collision between Marcus Erickson and Brian Yarzik in the finale, which of course we hope we won't see. But who knows, anything can go down in the championship finale. We've been noticing a theme here that anytime Brian Yarzik says he's not a fan of a track, he usually goes out and wins it. So we'll talk to him after the race. Maybe he'll tell us he hates Homestead on purpose. We'll let him burn it down for the fans right now. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back in a moment on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello and welcome back to Phoenix International Raceway in Arizona, where we just witnessed 100 laps of racing action here in the penultimate round of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series, A Pursuit of the Pedals. The finale will be next week at Homestead. We will determine our champion, and it could very well be Brian Jarzik after he took a win here tonight in Phoenix. Although he's close to Jordan Eriksson in the points. Eriksson placed 7th here tonight. You'll see him down there on the timesheets. Gary Whitson had a strong run, only got 2nd at the end. Bryce Whitson dropped back to finish 3rd. Michael Krobach, 4th. It's an okay finish. I'm sure he would have liked more. Mark McCrary back there rounding out top 5. Solid run by Austin Mislett in 6th place. The aforementioned Jordan Eriksson back end 7th ahead of Scott Formosa, who was the first car 1 lap down, followed by Mark Myers 1 lap down, and Nick Cohan actually salvaged a top 10 after all of that.
And outside the top 10, the number 61 Sim Racing Apps machine, Jeffrey Gilliam will finish 11th tonight. 12th place, number 33 will go to Robert Barber. Tim Knott in the 41 machine will finish 13th. Jackie Pelmore will finish 14th. The last car that started the race, Jeffrey Belt 15th, who did not take part in tonight's event.
So let's talk to some of our top finishers here, beginning with 3rd place, Bryce Whitson. Bryce, you played a bit of a strategy call throughout the race. 2 tires on your first stop, and you made your second stop very early. It was looking very good until about 15 laps to go or so.
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was a good call overall, Sam. They had a little bit better tires than me, and I got into that corner just a little bit too hot there, and when I pushed up, it just left that bottom lane, and so we'll take the 3rd place though. I don't know that we were necessarily a 3rd place car, but I'll take the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking about the fact that you have had a win this year, but at some races during the season you've struggled. The 3rd place here. Is Homestead the track you like? Can you finish a season with 2 back-to-back top 5s, which should give you some good momentum heading into the Winter Series?
Well, I tell you, Homestead used to be one of my best tracks on iRacing, but here recently it's been terrible for me. I don't know, something with the new build, something with the new tire model has just really messed me up there. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we'll go to Homestead and it'll be a good race overall, and be able to pull something off, maybe get another win there.
Michael Krobach and yourself had some aggressive racing in the final laps. We heard there was some talk over the track. Was there? Did you guys find common ground in there, or was it just some hard racing at the end?
Oh, I don't know if there is really any issue. I mean, we were just racing there at the end. 5 laps to go, man. You're gonna race. You're gonna race for every position you can get, and so I don't know if there's any issue. If there was, I sure haven't been told about it.
All right, just double checking on that, because as we mentioned, there was some good back and forth racing going on there in the closing laps. We're glad you seem to be happy with the 3rd place finish there, Bryce. I guess we'll be back next week at Homestead. Hopefully we'll get to speak to you again. It's been a solid season overall in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series. If we don't get to talk to you after the finale, thanks for getting these guys together and putting on good shows each week.
Oh yeah, it's been a great season. We've really enjoyed it. Gary and I have enjoyed putting it on, and we're gonna push to Homestead and give out a bunch of prizes and have a lot of fun there.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you then. See you next week, Bryce. Who knows, maybe we'll be talking to you from Victory Lane.
Hey, thank you much, Sam.
All right, so let's go one step up the podium. Tanner, you have called up with our 2nd place finisher, Gary Whitson.
Catching up with Gary Whitson here, and Gary, you were leading the race before those rounds of pit stops around the halfway mark or a little bit afterwards, and you had the lead there, but it looked like you lost some momentum on those sets of pit stops, but you still managed to salvage a 2nd place finish. Tell us about that run towards the end there.
Yeah, did a good job leading, managing my stuff the first half of the race. Brian was able to leapfrog me there on the pit stops. I kind of figured the guys that pitted early would get in front of me, but I was hoping they would burn their stuff up and I could get them later. Brian just had a little quicker pit stop, get out of pits, and get his outlap a little bit quicker than mine. And just took me too long to get by everybody, and he had about a 1 second lead. And I trimmed it a little bit, but he was just gone and not enough time.
And it looked like you were faster than Brian Yazik in those closing stages of the laps there. And I tell you what, it just also seemed like it was hard to pass as well. Like drivers would try to get underneath another driver, but they would have such a good run off on corner exit. And it didn't look like tires meant a whole heck of a lot tonight, because we seen Michael Krobach up towards the front on older tires than everybody else. Tell us how the tires were holding up for you.
The tires were pretty good. They definitely hit a wall there at the end of that first long run where they started dropping off a couple 2 or 3 tenths over the course of a few laps. I was able to find a line that I could carry a lot of speed on the entry of 3 and not lose a lot of time through the middle and off of 4. So it made it a little bit easier to pass. Even if I would have got to Brian, it would have been tough to pass him. Probably wasn't going to rough him up given the situation that he's in. Overall it's a good night. Won the pole. Led the most laps, was there at the end, so I can't complain.
Definitely cannot complain for sure. And with this momentum that you had in this race and you're carrying out of this race, you're finally going to the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Can you be the non-pursuit driver to be the spoiler by going to victory lane at Homestead?
Yeah, I think we can get the HPP Chevy in victory lane at Homestead. It's definitely a track that I like. It seems to suit my style. I've shown some speed. I've actually gotten some time to race again here lately, so got a little bit of my speed back, so I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I can catch Bryce and get 5th in the points, but it would be interesting to shake it up a little bit, get a win, and take those bonus points from these guys.
All right, Gary, we appreciate you coming to talk with us tonight, and we wish you the best of luck at Homestead Miami Speedway next week.
Thanks, guys.
That was Gary Whitson finishing in the 2nd position tonight, but down in victory lane where the champagne is spraying, especially in the desert, is Brian Yazik. Sam, you've caught up with him.
Yeah, Brian, congratulations on another win this season.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy. I bet you would have never thought with the way that the first part of the season went on that, we'd have 5 wins in this whole thing and have the points lead heading into the final race. I bet you didn't think that, did you?
No, it was definitely questionable at times with you being famous to finish in 2nd there. Let me recall, you said you're not a huge fan of this track.
Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of it. It seems like I do better in the day, just because I kind of find a nice line to ride in, and make it work out. But the night race, typically, it's 1 and 2 that kill me. And for some reason, tonight it didn't have a whole lot of hot lap speed in it. But, that showed with our qualifying effort being there in 7th. But I'll tell you what, this HPPsimulation.com Silverado came alive after about 5 laps, and it was just on from there. And it just seemed like I didn't fall off too bad. Maybe probably a little bit better than some of the guys around me, and I think that's what helped catapult that up there and put us in victory lane tonight.
So let's talk about the finale next week at Homestead. You're going to be very close on points with Jordan Erickson, and then Michael Krobach won't be too far behind you. What do you think is your biggest concern heading into Homestead to try and win this championship?
My biggest concern, you look back at the points, I got 2 points up on Jordan. So, if either one of us, if we don't win, if we finish 2nd, 3rd, then we take it home. Michael back there, he's 8 markers back. He wins and I finish 3rd. He wins the championship. So, just because we got the lead going into the final, the finale, it's not safe. Really just we gotta stick to what brought us here. We tried something a little bit different last week, being in the championship hunt, and tried to drive a little differently, and it didn't feel right, and it burned me. So tonight I just kind of decided to go back to, what brought us to the show, and, real smart and methodical racing. And I think we did that. We accomplished it. We parked it in victory lane. We got the championship lead. Man, I'm on cloud 9 right now, Sam. This is This is incredible. You know, next week is the biggest race I've probably ever raced in my life on a sim, on the simulators. You know, just I can't let myself get too caught up in it. I just got to drive 100 laps next week. 100 laps flawlessly. Don't wreck the truck. Don't put myself into a position where, you know, I lose the championship by taking myself out. That's not going to do us a whole lot of good. So, I mean, really, when it just boils down to it, I wish Wednesday was tomorrow and we could go at it, because now I got to sit here for a whole week and wonder about everything and try to figure it out. But we're going to do great, and we're going to show up at Homestead, and we're going to bring a fast truck, and we're just going to let the rest lie as it will.
When did you realize that you could win this race? Because you had to get by the Whitsons and by Michael Krobach to take a W.
Yeah, really what that one boiled down to is, you know, I knew that those guys were probably going to pit right about halfway, and tires, you wouldn't think tires really mattered at a night track, but it did. It mattered a lot, and I thought, all right, if I can sacrifice 3 laps at the outro, or 3 to 4 laps or whatever, to them now, I could make that back up at the end. And I saw Gary about a second up on me, and I knew if I could come out there and cut a good outlap, I'd gain that back. So that's why I decided to pull it down, and we came out a second and a half off the lead and caught them all, wound them back in, and I got around Michael, and Michael's a hell of a teammate, and I'm glad, I'm glad to be racing with him up here in this championship hunt. And we got behind Bryce with 20 to go, and I was trying a couple different things, but you just couldn't pass on the bottom there in 3 and 4. It was just, the top guy could just pinch down, and that was it. But we made it work, and I don't know what happened in turn 1 there with like 11 to go. I think he maybe blew the corner, or it got tight, or something. But that let us get by on the bottom side and just kind of march away from it. So I was worried about Gary, because I know he wound me, or he caught up back then as well. But yeah, man, I can't believe it. I was sitting there, took the lead 10 to go, and I just kept looking at the laps every time we went by, and I kept saying, no caution, no caution, no caution.
And there was no caution. You ended up taking the victory, so we look forward to seeing you in Homestead next week, Brian, and maybe we'll be speaking to you as our new champion in just 7 days' time.
I'll tell you what, that's got a good ring to it, Sammy. I like that, so I'm gonna go chase that down. Big shout out, iROC, Bryce, and Gary putting this whole deal on. HPPsimulation.com. Go out there and get yourself a nice pair of pedals. I'm going to try to win some next week. SimRacingApps.com for the whole support this season. HouseOfJerky.net. We got a lot of cool things brewing, and nothing would make it sweeter than bringing home the championship.
Alright, so that was our race winner, Brian Jarzik, here tonight at Phoenix International Raceway. Not the biggest of fields, Tanner, but with the championship on the line, these drivers definitely put on a good show.
It definitely put on a great show, and it was some hard-fought racing, especially towards the end there. It was more than 2 drivers battling for position, and we had about 5 drivers in the mix battling for some kind of position in the top 5. And I'm really looking forward to Homestead Miami Speedway next week for the finale to see who's going to win those pedals. It's going to be some tight racing action, just as we've seen tonight, and a lot of emotion going on, and it's going to be a lot of emotion next week, a lot of butterflies, and it's been an honor and a privilege to be calling this series all season long.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and echo those sentiments, but we do still have 1 race left to go, and we will have it here live on the Global Sim Racing channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Wednesday night from Homestead Miami Speedway. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series for coming here tonight and putting on a thrilling show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware. There you see them all listed on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Drew Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. A special thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde to provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.